Howdy, welcome. This is Matt from Jaggers Brewing Co. I'd like to thank you for stopping in, checking in on me, and seeing what all I'm doing. So today, we're finally getting around to the collaboration brews that I did with Cascade Homebrew. And he was kind enough to send me some beers. I sent him some back. We exchanged some notes and things like that. We settled on a recipe. And he's just been a really cool, kind of almost even mentor to me a little bit with exchanging some things. Very knowledgeable homebrewer. If you haven't checked out his channel, please do so. He's got a lot of information. He's doing like a Road to Gold series on one of his beers. He's also another member of the Master Homebrew program. If you don't know what that is, check out the link below. I've done a video on it. I'm a member. I'm also currently a board member of the program. It's a pretty awesome experience to do and be part of. But today's project, we're talking about the Saisons that Brent and I came together and we did our collaboration on. So we settled on the recipe. We both brewed the same recipe as far as the grains and the hops and timings and all that. Where we took the experiment part, the investigative brewing part of it anyways, was by choosing different yeast. So he chose the Saison Parfait by Bootleg Biology, I believe it was, and I chose to go a little bit of a different route. Part of his experiment was to kind of compare the bottled conditioned version to the keg version, and mine was to do a couple different yeast and then throw in one other variable that we'll talk about. So this video today is about my side of the Today's video is about my part of the experiment, and so we're gonna break into the beers that I did, and then the next video we'll compare all the beers. So I wanted to talk about the brew day here. So for the recipe, what we did was I used the yellow dry profile for all my water salt additions. And the recipe was 70.1% of Belgian Pilsner, 2-row, and then 19.7% of Rye Malt, and then 10.3% of Torrified Wheat. We mashed in, let's see here, at 152 for 75 minutes. I went ahead and did the mash out on it, 168 for 10 minutes. We did the, let's see here, East Kent Goldings, 17.4 IBUs worth for 60 minutes. I did a Whirlfloc tablet at 15 minutes, yeast nutrient at 10 minutes, and then I did 2.6 IBUs worth of Saaz the last 5 minutes. And so, as far as the experiment part of this, now kind of shifting back into that mindset, I had brewed previously with Rustic, Imperial Rustic yeast, and I wasn't very happy with it. I felt like it missed a lot of the marks for like what it was known for, those esters and the flavor profile of the yeast. It was very bland. It kind of got better as it aged, but it wasn't like what that beer should have been, in my opinion. Same recipe. This is the same basic recipe I've used for the Saisons, the farmhouses, the sours, for mixed fermentation, raw ale, and all that. So this recipe's been very good to me, and I think it's a very good like basic recipe for that. So it was a redemption brew for this beer. So let's crack this open and let's talk about it. The other the other yeast that I used for this. So I brewed it I brewed 2 different batches, and this is the rustic one. So the yeast that I chose for that other brew was a pure strain of Kveik, and I was fortunate enough to get it from my good friend Ramon from Venture Brewing. So this is the rustic version right here. As you can see, it is a very, very nice looking beer. Very nicely formulated head, nice bubbles, fairly good clarity. Not that it has to be super clear to be a Saison. We're allowed a little bit of haze and murkiness and all that, but so this is the rustic, and let me get the Kveik version here. And this one was Kveik Framgarden. So both of those beers were, they both came out at starting gravity 1056, and the finishing gravity on the rustic was 1.006 for an ABV of 6.6, and the Framgarden was same starting gravity 1056, ending gravity 1.004 for a 6.8% ABV. I noticed during fermentation of the Kveik version, which I fermented at 95 degrees, same that I do for every Kveik version, that it was very poppy with the fruit during fermentation smells. So this is the Framgarden Kveik version right here, and here's the rustic right next to it. Don't know how well they're showing up on camera, but they're fairly identical in the shades that they are. With the Framgarden being maybe slightly darker, it looks like. So with the rustic, I ended up building up a starter for. It was an older pack, and I really wanted to give it a really good shot. And my previous taste of it, I really think that this is one of the best Saisons I've ever brewed. So on the nose, we're getting a lot of those like Saison Belgian type characters. We're getting a lot of the phenolics, some bubble gum, slight fruit esters. So I get, for the phenolics, it's spice, a little bit of pepper, the bubble gum, and then a little bit of like the fruit being a little bit of apple, some peach. Sorry, it's making my mouth water just smelling it. Let's see what the Kveik. So this one's pineapple, some mango, maybe even a little bit of banana. Covering it up and giving it a second here. Seems like the phenols kind of pop out a little bit stronger. The pineapple kind of got stronger on that one. So kind of medium on the mouthfeel. Feels nice and dry. Those phenols are like way expressive now with this rustic one. So phenols, and then we get like that bubble gum and a little bit of those fruit esters, even like just a very hint, like very minute. It's hard for me to pick out as I'm trying to like continuously develop my palate to be able to pick away these beers and help judge things and whatnot. But this is really, really good. I'm extremely happy with the way that this thing has turned out. I've entered it into a few competitions, and we'll talk about some more successes here in a little bit on that one. But man, I'm really happy with the way that this has turned out. Let me cover this thing up so that way no bugs or anything get into it. Again, we've got pineapple and mango on the nose on this Kveik version, Framgarden. So medium mouthfeel, and it tastes like this is not as dry of a beer. Now this one got a little bit lower by 0.002 points, okay? I would think that that's almost undetectable at that point. Don't really know. I don't have a whole lot of experience with that, like multiple years of, you know, trying to dissect that part of brewing. But I would say that that's probably going to be pretty tough for almost anybody to be able to say. It tastes like, though, that it's not as dry as the rustic one. Sorry, the carbonation of both of them are kind of getting to me a little bit. So medium mouthfeel, like I said, it feels like it's finishes not as dry as the rustic. And as far as the taste go, it's still got a very good like fruit pop to it. Now that has kind of settled down, and I've noticed that a little bit with these Kveik versions of these beers. You know, I did a hothead one and it was very expressive, and then it toned down over the course of a full year. This one's probably about 5 months old now, thereabouts. And it tastes pretty good. Some of that fruit pop that it had at the very beginning has died down to where it's kind of getting a little bit more into some of the like kind of phenol type taste. I wouldn't quite call it like we're in the realm of the pepper or, you know, Band-Aid type phenols or medicinal type deals here, but it doesn't taste quite as fruity, as punchy as it did several months ago when I first tasted it. It was very kind of like pineapple, almost fruit punch originally when it was ready to go by Kveik standards, you know, after, you know, 2-3 weeks worth of fermentation type deal. As far as preferences go, I definitely prefer the rustic version for sure. With the rustic version that I've I've shared with everybody. Everybody really seems to enjoy this beer. I've entered it into a few competitions. We'll see how it goes. One of my friends, you know, he's got a banger Saison, and so it'll be pretty fun to see how it stands up to his over the next few months. After it's all said and done, I'm really happy that I was able to experience both beers and have them both come out so well. I was ecstatic that I got a pure strain of Kveik that hadn't been really commercialized and dissected or anything like that. I was happy that the Rustic turned out as well as it did. I'm happy that I decided to give it a redemption brew there. I initially suspected, after some time of thinking about like what happened and everything, that it was more of me and not the yeast. And so, you know, I think maybe doing that starter really helped, being able to kind of get more yeast going at a good time. To note, the fermentation temperature on this was room temperature. Did not stall out like I experienced with like Belle Saison or anything like that. I gave it 2 or 3 weeks of fermentation. That little extra week, that third week, kind of just to let it clean itself up and all that. You know, I wasn't in a big rush with it. When I brew with Kveik, I'm not really in a rush either with it. I'm not trying to turn a beer around in 24 hours or 12 hours or anything like that. I'm trying to chase those ester profiles that that strain is known for. Like I said, as out of preferences, I enjoy the Rustic over the Framgarden. Neither beer is really bad, but it's just that I think that this is more true to style guidelines, right? This one, the Framgarden, it's fun. There's nothing wrong with that either. You know, initially when I had that one, I thought like, okay, this belongs in some kind of IPA or something like that. You know, something that has, you know, some room to play around with. And then I thought about it, and Saison does too, you know, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I don't necessarily think that like the Framgarden or some of the other Kveik ones belong in like the BJC type category style guidelines of the style. But it definitely belongs there from a heritage and historical standpoint. And so it was fun to experiment with it and be able to do some fun things there. I've wanted to use that yeast for such a long time, and I was lucky to have the opportunity. So thank you again, Ramon, so much for the opportunity to be able to do that. If you can think of any other yeast that I haven't done, which I've done Saisonstein, I've done Belle Saison, I've done the Hothead Kveik, I've stole some yeast out of a farmhouse producer and repitched that. I've done several other yeast, and you'll see the videos linked here in the description or up here on the cards. But if you can think of any other yeast that is a must try, please let me know. I think that Rustic has kind of become almost, this version anyways, has become like the house Saison around here, possibly. Now, I do like that Lithuanian farmhouse yeast, especially what it does to this recipe. I brew that normally, probably twice a year now. It's been my summer jam for like the last 3 years, and all my friends. That's just a really awesome experience to have. I brewed it for my birthday here recently in December. That was the first keg, I think, to go away. after a few days of after the party, before the party, and all that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for stopping by, coming and checking us out. And if there's anything that you guys can think of as far as the style that you think that I'm missing or you want to see me try, please let me know in the comments. And cheers. Catch you next time. God dang, I had to film for like a month and now I suddenly forget everything.